various plans to reshape our world.
Do you feel that you're dealing with a they, or do you know, there's this biblical idea that what we war against is principalities. And I think of a principality, one variant of a principality is a system of ideas.
Yeah.
And I think, well, there's no, in a way, there's no they. There's a system of ideas that's a set of animating principles.
Sure.
Right. And it partially inhabits a multitude of people.
Well,
right?
I think there are two answers to this. There's a very diffuse they. If we say the woke, we generally know that we're speaking about people who think in certain ways, that they've adopted some of this power analysis, but it's very diffuse.
Yeah.
And maybe it's only a small amount, and maybe it's a great amount, and maybe it's on this issue and not.
Right.
But then there are the people who pay for it, and I mean with large sums of money. They're a very distinct they. Somebody has decided to pour the gasoline into this fire. And they decided.
Do you think that they have any sense?
These people, I think they know exactly what they're doing with it. That they are disrupting Western civilization so that they can recolonize it with their own position. And this is why I get called a conspiracy theorist online, despite the fact that they basically write this in their books themselves.
And for you, who are the primary actors in that they?
Well, there's a front that I usually typically name that is obviously the people that are the public face of this.
Okay.
And these are people at the World Economic Forum, overwhelmingly centrally.
Did you read Klaus Schwab's Great Reset?
I did.
Yeah, it's quite the aggregation of cliches. I got about a third of the way through it and I thought, no, I just can't do this anymore.
The Great Narrative, his second book that he wrote, well, it's his fourth really, but the second book he wrote in that series is much more poignant. But the way that he writes is it's maybe 130 pages of a book, or I don't know, it's not that long. And it's business cliche, terrifying pair of paragraphs, business cliche. And so there's
that right, eh?
Yeah, so if you read it in regards to the fact that the meat, it's a lot of fun and a very little burger.
His camouflage is manager speak. So there is a compassion.
So you're asleep
camouflage.
before you get anywhere.
Right. Well, I did notice too that a lot of the things I saw at universities that were really deep falsehoods weren't compassion; they were manager speak.
Manager speak. That's right.
Yeah, manager speak.
If you read something and it's putting you to sleep,
you made those together.
It was probably designed to put you to sleep, so you don't see.
Yeah, manager speak is what people on the administrative front who have absolutely no ability cloak themselves in so they look competent.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Oh yeah, it's
so
something
here
to see, man.
in the middle, almost squarely in the middle of The Great Narrative for a Better Future, which is the follow-up book to The Great Reset.
It's called Narrative for a Better Future.
The Great Narrative for a Better Future. You can't make this up.
I got to read that.
And so right in the middle, he has this set of paragraphs. It's maybe 5 paragraphs, but it covers 3 ideas. And number 1, we're going to force all of the corporations to adopt ESG standards, and we're going to do that through top-down manipulations of the public-private partnership, governments and big business working together.
So fascism, in other words.
Fascism, with
compulsion,
with the NGOs being the coordinating entity. So the World Economic Forum is a hub that connects these things, which means there's something probably behind it that's a different they that's really organized.
That's the Legion, by the way.
Yes. And then so secondly, we're going to transform the youth to demand ESG. They won't work in a company, they won't buy from a company, et cetera, unless they're ESG compliant. We're going to change the youth culture. And then third, we're going to rewrite the social contract to accept this new norm.
Only those 3 things.
Only those 3 things. Very nefarious, though. Yeah. And he repeats this.
Well, he's got the uniform for it.
The space suit,
and the accent.
Yeah, well,
central casting.
Central casting, that's right.
Yeah, he needs a crow on his shoulder.
Yeah, or a bald cat to pet.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah,
So he says this speech earlier this year, an interview. He says that we're going to rewrite the social contract. He says this again and again. But he says specifically this time, we're going to rewrite the social contract so that society accepts as we move from an economy of production and consumption to an economy, and I kid you not, Jordan, of caring and sharing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's communism.
You mean because productive generosity on the free market front hasn't worked?
Correct.
Right. Because it hasn't lifted more people out of poverty since the year 2000 than lifted out of poverty in the entire history of humanity before that.
Yeah, but climate change.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is
it's so interesting, that like I've got a couple. Here's some. Tell me what you think about these ideas. So tyrants use fear to produce compulsion. They're